Now it's time for the practical session. Today I'll be installing the KOS for you, and Joe is going to do an RS seal for you. But before we get started, I want to introduce our mock-up of an underground substation. Here on the back here is our soil, our external part, and down here is the internal part of the substations. We've already set in some of our KOSs and also a conduit for the exercises we're doing today. So now let's get started. The engineer has done the design and it's all ready to start construction. So I'm going to show you the installation of the KOS system. As previously mentioned, the KOS is 150mm deep. In our mock-up, we have a wall here thickness of 150mm, and we can see that the KOS fits nicely within that area. Now if you need a thicker wall like we have mocked up here down below, we put a coupler extension to the right thickness of that wall. The coupler fits nicely into the area here. If the wall was thinner than 150, you can trim the KOS down. It's now time to secure the KOS to the formwork. Firstly, you need to locate it in the correct position. Once it's in the correct position, you then secure it through the 4 lugs of the feet onto the formwork as shown. Now the KOSs are in position and the formwork is completed. It is now time for the concrete pour. Some points when pouring the concrete. Avoid pouring large masses of concrete directly onto the sleeves and conduit extensions, especially from heights. Ensure concrete is vibrated sufficiently to avoid any drumminess. Also, it is important not to damage the sleeves or conduits during this phase. So it's now time to remove the formwork. When the formwork is removed, the tab here breaks off, like so. And as you can see on our mock-up, you can see that the tabs have been removed when we remove the formwork. Another very important part is that, as you can see here, the KOS lid is there and it seals your internal part of the substation. It is now time to install the cable. What we need to do to the KOS is to remove the seal lid. And to do that, we can use a hammer, just hammering it like that. But to assist make it easier, we use a timber element and work our way round. That is now broken through. Now use a screwdriver just to remove any dags to keep a smooth finish. So all the dags are now removed. The KOS is now prepared for the cable to be pulled through. To assist, we have the KOS pull strip, which can be secured around the rim of the KOS. Now we can pull the cable through.
Thanks, Mike. Now that the KOS has been installed, it's time to install our Roxtec UG cable seals. Roxtec UG cable seals can be used in either the KOS that Mike has installed, or bell mouths, conduits, and even smooth diamond cord holes. The Roxtec UG cable seals are made from EPDM rubber. The working mechanism of the seal is such when you tighten the nuts, the metal faces come in. The rubber bulges out, which provides a strong compressing force. If the KOS has been installed prior to the UG seal being installed, the UG seal will fit into the KOS. However, if there is a conduit or a diamond cord hole, the internal diameter of that hole needs to be measured to ensure we have the right Roxtec UG seal. $100mm ID, perfect. The next step is to ensure the cable runs through the hole horizontally. So not have it going through on an angle, it's got to be horizontal. irrespective if it is a cord hole, conduit or a KOS. always have to be going through horizontally. As we will be installing the Roxtec RSUG seal, which is a single seal, not only does the cable have to be horizontal, but it must be centered through the hole. With the Roxtec RSUG seal, the nuts need to be loosened prior to installation. We also need to ensure the inside of the hole is clean. The Roxtec RS100UG is suitable for this 42mm cable. We will now need to peel off the internal layers to ensure we have a perfect fit with the cable. Some layers need to be peeled off because that won't close properly. It is close, so I will only take off a peel at a time. So we have been able to establish peeling one layer from one half of the Roxtec UG seal was sufficient to match the cable. We can check to ensure we have a 0.1 to 1mm gap. The number of layers may not differ by more than one between the corresponding seal halves. Now it's time to apply the lubricant. Take the lid off, push the centre piece through, and then apply it to the internal part of the seal. And then the external. Similarly with the other half. Now the lubricant has been applied to the Roxtec RSUG seal, it's time for the installation. Two halves on either side of the cable. Push it in. As this is a KOS, it won't go in any further, and the tabs will also stop it going in any further. But if you have a burl mouth, or a diamond cord hole, or a conduit, you can actually pull the tabs in and insert it even further into the hole. Now it's time to tighten the nuts. We do it in a diagonal arrangement. Now with the installation, there are some checks that are built into the Roxtec RSUG seal, such as checking to see if there is lubricant coming through the seal. We have some bulging within the two halves and concavity around the multi-diameter layers. The inner rubber also creates a visible bulge after the Roxtec seal has been installed properly. So we left you with the Roxtec RS100UG. Now we also have the H4UG seal and the RUG seal installed. The beauty of the H4 is if you have a trefoil cable arrangement and a fourth smaller cable such as an earth cable, And with the UG seal, you have 3 cables of different diameters going through the same penetration. There is also spare capacity in the future.
We've installed the Roxtec UG seals into our mock-up underground substation. Now it's time to put it to the test. We've set up this sweep that's connected into the conduit that the seal is protecting. We've also put a 3 metre length of orange conduit. This is simulated 3 metres underwater. Is it full yet, Mike?
It's full.
There you go. 3 metres of water. Okay, now we've got 3 metres of head of water through that extension. We can now see that there's no water coming through the Roxtec RS UG100 seal. Well, that was a great water test. 3 metres of water head still was able to be resisted by the Roxtec UG range of products. So what does that mean for you? You get a peace of mind solution from Roxtec. You get a dry substation. Now, as a recap, I want you to remember the 3 main points of the Roxtec UG seals. The first thing I want you to remember is the minimum 60mm depth of the seal. What does this do for you? Provides you strong cable retention. So if there's any ground settlements or other forces on the cables, this greater depth allows you to have a strong cable seal. Secondly, all our components, all our metallic components are made of 316 stainless steel. And this is very important, especially in an underground application. You have soil, you have water, that water might be tidal, and you have high salinity in that water. You want the best stainless steel you can get. And that's why we provide 316 stainless steel as our standard UG solution. And finally, like all Roxtec products, the UG has the 1mm multi-diameter layers. This gives you much more precise sealing compared to those systems that don't have that. So we have a 1mm thick layer, and you can really make sure that you have a great seal, again, to keep that substation dry. So now that comes to the end of our presentation for today. Thank you for joining us. And if you have any questions, don't forget to contact either Mike Coburn or myself, Joe Puglisi, if you have any UG sealing.